Now, 4 years since the Disability Act was passed and 1 year to the expiration of the moratorium given to public buildings to adhere and include provisions for disabilities, the people with disability community are calling for full implementation and compliance. The Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disability, David Anyele, made the call at the 4th anniversary ceremony since the passage of the Disability Act yesterday in Abuja. Benedict Uko has more.
On the 17th of January 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari signed into act the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Bill 2018. 1 year before the expiration of the time given, the Center for Citizens with Disabilities has engaged state and non-state institutions and relevant stakeholders on their roles and responsibilities for the full compliance to the provisions of the Disability Act, now that the moratorium would be expiring in 12 months' time. The Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disabilities, David Anyele, at the 4th anniversary of the passage of the Disability Act, called for full compliance.
This year, or these 12 months remaining, is going to be a busy year for us because there are penalties attached to violations of this law, and we don't want anybody to pay penalty. We want people to comply. We hear some stories or some questions that has to do with the cost of readjusting or remodeling buildings to be accessible. Is less than 1% of the total cost of such building. Therefore, using excuses around cost is not, viable. What we want from government is that this moratorium, that all ministry department agencies must take steps to put their house in order. We wouldn't like to picket any ministry, and we wouldn't like to use the court to seal public building. We don't want to seal the National Assembly by reason of not being accessible. We also don't want to seal the Federal Secretariat by reason of not being accessible. What we want is that all public building in this country is made accessible.
The representative of the MacArthur Foundation, Amina Saliu, spoke about inclusive education and disabilities being employable. She urged the center to pay more attention to opportunities being created by the government.
We must think about inclusive education. What is education looking like right now? What is the budget saying about education? Who is getting what kind of education? Sometimes our children are taken out of the regular classroom when their disability is not such that they cannot relate. And then other children don't understand how to relate with our children with disabilities. And our children are further excluded in special schools where there has not been interaction. We need to pay attention to that. Because without that fundamental quality education, we will not be able to fill in all of those positions that are available. The fourth thing that I'm going to say to us this morning in terms of following this act is to pay attention to the budget, therefore, which I already began to talk about. The budget matters all the time. When we have budget debates, we have to be there. We've been told that the budget will be more inclusive, there will be participatory budgeting. It's happening in some places, it's not happening in other places. We have to make sure that it happens in as many places as possible.
The program officer, Nigeria for the Disability Rights Fund, Theophilus Odaudu, spoke about the implementation of Disability Fund as others from the disability community also led their voices for the prevailing issues that need to be addressed for inclusion.
Beyond coming to celebrate the passage of the Act, this is an opportunity for us to ask our duty bearers and partners their contribution to the implementation of the Disability Act, an act that the disability community had fought for almost 2 decades. It's also an opportunity for us as persons with disabilities to also reflect on our contribution towards the implementation of this law.
In terms of challenges, I think there are so many challenges that we still have to address. But part of them, one of the key has to do with a question of improving awareness around the provisions of the law. What does the law say? Particularly in terms of ensuring that no one is abused and ensuring that the 5% that have been provided as reserve for employment opportunity for persons with disability is fully enforced. And to do this, we need the community of persons with disability mobilize, to speak with one voice, and to improve their capacity so that they're able to take advantage of this when the opportunity presents itself.
The theme of the anniversary is 2023 general elections and beyond, creating the future we desire for citizens with disabilities. It's an avenue to draw government's attention to the 12-month expiration of the moratorium of the Act.